Hello, hello, hello there. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Time Career Chat. Let's get everyone connected up here and we'll be on our way, okay? All right, let's see. Here we go. Nope. Get a little water. Oh, there we go. Share it into the group. There we go. All right. Welcome to everyone who's joining for the first time. Hello, good morning. My name is Patricia Hayes. I am an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And I am here to welcome you to Coffee Time Career Chat, which we do 2 times a week, once live, once recorded, for all things that affect your ability to move forward in your career when you're ready to up level to the next thing, to the next opportunity. And you need the skills and the strategies and the mindset to make all of that happen. And so we kind of chat through a lot of those different things over the course of the weeks and the months. And sometimes we stick to a theme and sometimes we do not. So for the most part, we started sticking to a theme. And this month, we are focusing on making empowered moves. And today, particularly, we're talking about that in terms of networking and building your relationships. So you get a twofer this week on the networking piece. But we're talking specifically this week about upleveling your networking game. And you know, if you know me, I don't consider networking a game per se, but it seemed to fit. And so we'll talk about that in terms of what it means to really focus on growing your relationships if you're really trying to move to the next level, if you're really trying to do the next big thing and how you need to shift and to change. Last week, we talked about what you need to do in order to shift your mindset and how that's important if you're going to move to the new next level of whatever it is you're seeking to achieve. So this week, we're going to talk about what it looks like to fit in building out your relationships and what that looks like for moving to the next level, for up-leveling. So first of all, reset so that everyone's on the same page, because we have to talk about what the real focus of networking is. I know networking still has a negative connotation for so many people, and I get it, but we do not talk about slimy, what can I get from you type of networking here. That's not what we do. The real focus of networking is to build quality, sustainable, professional relationships that facilitate your business and career goals, okay? And it can extend beyond that. Like that's the icing and the icing on top, right? Of it can extend to those things you're trying to achieve personally as well. I know it has done so for me throughout my career. So it's not so one-sided. It's not one-dimensional. It's very multi-dimensional in its effect, in its impact. And so you really have to do some things in order for it to be most beneficial for you for the long term. So in order to uplevel your networking efforts, what do you have to do? We've got about 3 things it looks like, maybe 4. I got 4 this time. 4 things that we're going to talk about that you need to do in order to uplevel your networking efforts. Number 1, first and foremost, is that you must give your networking your professional network the respect that it deserves. Let me say that again. You must give your professional network the respect that it deserves, okay? And here's the thing. What does that mean? It means you have to stop taking your people for granted. Stop taking for granted those people that you interact with, those people that you have spent time with over the weeks, months, and years. Stop taking them for granted, right? You want to make, and this is important, you want to make sure that you are giving as much as you're getting. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But when you take your network for granted, guess what happens? The negative side effect of that is that it can go stale. Because most people, when they're taking their network for granted, they're only reaching out to people when they want something, when they need something. Okay? Now, will someone probably respond to you? Most times, yes. But there's no give and take there. There's no, hey, let's check in, let's catch up, whatever. Even if it comes with a good apology. And that, at least that's giving some respect to the fact of, hey, I recognize that we have not been in touch. We haven't, been contacting. I'm sorry to be reaching out to you like this, but I do need to ask if you have information about this thing or if you could connect me to this person. And then you need to immediately follow up sincerely with a note, with a coffee. We're opening things up. So whether it's a virtual coffee or one that's socially distanced in person, whatever, you need to reach out and make some real contact to reestablish that relationship, reestablish that trust. We talked about that last week. And that's really important. Do not take your network for granted. Give them the respect that they need. And this is an up level. Why is this an up level? This is an up level action because most people won't do it. Most people will continue down that path of running down stale relationships, leaving them littered on a pathway, never to go clean them up, never to reestablish them. And that's not how you get to the next level. If you want to get to the next level of your career, of your business goals, you have to be willing to step up to the fact of recognizing when you've let some relationships go stale, but that you need to revive. And you walk in and you say, hey, I know it's been a long time. Let's reconnect. Am I talking about you're all of a sudden going to go reach out to 400 people and try to have coffee with them? No. But I am talking about acknowledging those where you maybe can, have reach out to them once a month, right? Whether it's a note, whether it's an email, whether it's just a message via social saying, hey, was thinking about you, whether it's a happy birthday when it comes across. I mean, like, how easy is that? All the way to if it's someone or something that you connect with, maybe 2-3 times a year. Because the relationship is that established and that long term. I talk about that a lot with the fact that my relationship with my mentor from college, we don't see each other that often anymore, but we still connect. She follows me on LinkedIn. I follow her on LinkedIn. We check in on each other. And then when the time's appropriate, we actually see each other, when we're traveling, or we pick up the phone and make a call, even if we can't see each other, but we're in the same city. So there's all kinds of things that you can do, but the main thing is to make sure you continue to respect your network and not take them for granted. Going the extra mile, taking the extra step, that is the up level. That is the thing that will get you to the next point in your professional goals and careers. Good morning, Maggie. Good to see you. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, if you want to up-level your networking efforts, number two, you have to stop focusing on what you need and instead look at what you can give for your network's needs. This is so crucial. And I feel like a broken record when I say this because I say it so often, but you would be surprised at how many people still need this piece of advice. Because here's the reality. We all still get to that point where we're like, oh my God, I really need to get this job, or I really need to go do this, or I really need to do X. Who can I talk to make that happen? That is a natural thought. That is completely in line and appropriate. But think about it this way. If you are giving to people on a regular basis, if you are connecting with people on a regular basis, if you are meeting other people's needs, guess what happens? It really does come back to you, and people will feed into you what you are feeding into others. And it flows in a much more natural way. Like sometimes what you want and need will come and literally lay itself at your feet, and you'll be like, what just happened? I have had a few of those moments, and they are the wildest thing ever. But they're fantastic because you feel like you just like won the lottery, or you found the golden egg at Easter or whatever. But it literally is, that's how it happens. When you continue to feed into people, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Maggie could see. Yes. When you continue to feed into people, guess what happens? Universe, God plays it all forward. People feed into you, right? Or that next step that you were dreading suddenly becomes much easier. Okay? So just think about that. When you focus on others' needs, that doesn't mean you don't acknowledge when you need something. Whatever, write it down on a sheet of paper to, reflect, to remind. Because what happens is, this is another thing. Someone will reach out and ask you, well, hey, what's going on with you? What do you need, anything? You're like, oh, no, I'm good. And then you get off the phone, you're like, what did I just say that for? Because you do have needs. It's okay to have needs. I'm not saying that's problematic. That's not problematic in and of itself. It's when you only reach out to people solely to address your own needs every single time, never looking to ask what someone else needs, never to looking to see what you can do for someone else. That is the problem. Okay? And that is what will come back to haunt you. Now, why is this an up level? Why is focusing on others' needs first an up level? Because, most people don't do that. Most people are thinking about, I need to get what I need to get and then move on, right? Never circling back to say thank you. Never circling back to acknowledge the person or people or things, situations that fed into them, and to give them those kudos. Okay? It doesn't have to be some big fancy thing. I know recently there was someone who had fed into my spirit, was popping off some really strong, awesome, words and wisdom. And so I had printed it out and marked it to put into my inspiration file for me to follow up on. And then just on a whim, I took a picture of that and I sent it to this person. And I was like, hey, FYI, I just thought you might want to know that, this is how much you impacted me. Okay? That's all I did. And they responded like, wow, right? But that's feeding into people. I didn't expect to get anything back from that. I don't expect anything back, but I received something, and I wanted to acknowledge that to this person, that this meant a lot, this inspired me, this stuck with me, and I wanted you to know that. And then you can move along, right? We'll have conversations, we'll do things. But when you do that with people, when you do that give and take, right? Give. Remember, there's a give first versus just taking. When you up level and do that on a regular basis, make that a part of your daily interactions with the people in your professional network, you will be amazed at the returns on that. I dare you to focus more on that for like a week, just 5 days, okay? Just figure out, how can I feed into someone else today? What can I give? Am I sending so-and-so an article? Am I giving someone, hey, I saw this and I thought of you, right? Hey, happy birthday. It was great. I'm great thinking about you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. All right. Do that for 5 days straight and see what happens. That's a nice little challenge, isn't it? I might have to put that out there. I think I will. We'll see how that goes. All right. All right. So that's number 2. Number 3, if you want to up-level your networking efforts, the third thing you have to do is to view opportunities with fresh eyes. Man, this is so important. Because we can get tired and burnt out, and literally, unless it's like a dancing elephant carrying $1 million, we might ignore things, right? It's like, unless it's just so extra, we'll just ignore it and let it go by. That is a mistake. That is a mistake. So whether we need to step back, take a little time for ourselves, get some fresh air, go do something different, change up your routine so that you can view things a different way. It is really important to be able to lay fresh eyes on the things that come before you, because even the smallest thing that you take for granted, there's that word again, and that you underestimate could be the most powerful opportunity for you in order to move to the next level. And this is so important because most people, again, won't do it. Do you see what I'm doing here? A lot of these things simply come down to the reason why they're in up levels, because most people won't do it. They won't go the extra mile. They won't take the extra step. They won't make the extra effort. But when you do those things, it puts you at another level, and it puts you on the road to achieving your goals and your dreams at that next level. And that's what you're trying to do. Okay? So that whole thing about how you see opportunities, whether you even see something as an opportunity, that is the gold. When you like let go of all your kind of I wouldn't say inhibitions, but some of that is because sometimes we hold on to things just so we can kind of protect ourselves. But when you let go of your inhibitions and let go of your biases and prejudices about where things come from and and all that kind of stuff, we'll talk about that later. It's amazing at what you can learn and opportunities that step in. Okay. Those are also some of the great moments as well. When something you didn't see as an opportunity does present itself as that from an unusual source, it's truly one of those moments to take real gratitude and to acknowledge, right? To really say, wow, that was pretty powerful. That was pretty insightful, and give it its due, to acknowledge it for what it is, okay? But you have to be willing and open to receive those things, to see them for what they are, okay? And that sounds a little woo-woo and esoteric, but it's really true. Because again, most people are waiting for, like I said, the dancing elephant carrying $1 million, or the, hey, I'm so excited, we're gonna give you this thing, as opposed to getting an off-the-cuff introduction to the president of X organization that turns out to be exactly in the field or the area that you are interested in, but you didn't know that first, right? I mean, those type of things where you're like, well, what was that? And you're like, sometimes you're just like, oh, well, gosh, and you might be intimidated by it, might not act on it, but take the opportunity for what it is, see it for what it is, as a fresh opportunity full of just full of life and full of things that could be. Okay. And that takes a mindset change. It takes remembering to slow down. All right. It requires you to slow down a little bit, slow your brain down so that you can actually see what's happening. And I do that. Especially when I've been running and I'm like, what am I doing? What's going on? And so I literally will pull out my phone. I will grab my laptop and I will go through my emails and my calendar, and I will sit and reflect on what I did this week. Like, who did I come in contact with? Because sometimes it's those things that we miss, and it's like, ooh, that was great, I need to follow up on that, and then you don't note it or whatever, okay? So it's important to take that time. So that's what I will do. I will literally sit down, especially if I felt particularly scattered during a week, and I will grab my journal. Y'all know how I feel about my journals. And I will write down who I came in contact with, and then you'd be amazed. Sometimes that it'll be that little spark. They'll be like, oh yeah, I think they're a part of X, and I wanted to see if maybe I could check out what they're doing right now. Okay? It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to seem big for it to be impactful. Wow, that's a mouthful, right? It doesn't have to seem big in order to be impactful. And that is going to be the thought for the week for sure. And that's what I want you to remember. Okay? All right. So that's 3 things. Number 4. What is the 4th thing? The 4th thing, if you want to up-level your networking efforts, is you have to be willing to put in the time to build quality relationships. Here's the caveat. But don't make assumptions about what a new contact can provide. That is most people's downfall. When you judge people by how they look, by how they present, by what they do, you can be like, oh, that's not really, worth my time, so I'll move on. And hey, I've done that. I admit that. And I've also had moments where I did that and regretted it, right? When you're like, oh, crap. Wow, because you do not know who people are connected to. Remember, the whole point about a network is that you don't have to have 5,000 people that you know personally. You may have 50. But when those 50 multiply out by 10, guess what number that gets to? Okay? That's what we're talking about here. So don't make assumptions. Be willing to put in the time to build quality relationships. So yes, that does mean sometimes you're carving things out in order to really focus in. Okay, so I'm not saying that. But do not make assumptions about someone. Like if you're going to exclude the effort to reach out or continue with something or someone, make sure you're doing it for valid reasons, right? Maybe, be more conscientious about what it is you're doing when you are getting ready to, quote, blow off someone. Yeah, I said that. All right. So you want to make sure and be thoughtful about it, but also be very aware because you just never know. I know that 2 weeks ago, I was a part of a health equity training. It was very deep, very powerful. And again, I'm always amazed when I'm in a room with people that I don't know, because I do know a lot of people, or at least know of them. And so there's this involved a group of folks, some of whom I did know, but then others that I truly had not known, did not know, like our paths had never crossed. And I know that was rich with opportunity. I have no idea what or when. I haven't done my sit down after that to do my follow-ups to reach out to people yet, but I'm going to, because I'm of that mindset of you really and truly never know when a contact turns into a relationship or can evolve to a relationship that will be beneficial for you in the long run, both professionally and personally, or personally. Okay. So, and there was, like I said, there were some fantastic folks. Some of them I already connected with via LinkedIn, because y'all know I love LinkedIn. And so that was easy, but some others aren't necessarily on there. So I'll have to find other ways to reach out to them. It'll probably be in a handy dandy note. Y'all know I love my personal notes. But it means going the extra mile, right? Because I don't always know those. So that means I'll have to reach out to the sponsor to say, hey, is it okay to get addresses for the people? Or if not, I will send you everything. And can y'all plug, their address in and send it? I'll send you stamps and everything, right? Whatever, but I'm going to do it. Like, that's the plan. I'm not saying that because, whatever, like the cards are half made in the other room, right? So I've already started that process. That's the over and above. Okay, then I'm talking about, most people are like, that was a great workshop. Man, that was really deep. And then you just move on. Don't just move on. Whenever you're ready to just, quote, move on to something else, think about, what am I missing here? Because normally there's some opportunity, there's something to be learned, there's some contact or relationship that could be built, and you need to make sure that you're not missing out on that. Okay? All right. That is that, my friends. So this week we've been talking about upleveling your networking game, remembering what the real focus of networking is. It's about building quality, sustainable, professional relationships that facilitate your business and career goals. And we've talked about, in order to uplevel your networking game, you have to make sure you give your professional network the respect that they deserve. Make sure to stop focusing on just your needs, but focus on your network's needs, to view opportunities with fresh eyes, and make sure you're building out your professional relationships without making assumptions about people and who they are. All right? That is that. Thank you for sticking with me. If you are catching this on the rewind, on the replay, make sure and reach out to me. Let me know what you think. A couple of reminders, which are that it's a new quarter, so that means it's a new opportunity for VIP intensive. So I will lay out the link, and if you find that you or someone you know is in need of an intensive, we can get them on the calendar and have a chat about what that might look like and meeting their needs. Also, that I'm super excited about planning the next set of master classes and workshops that are coming up in the next, my goodness, it's already middle of May, the next 6 weeks or so. So keep an eye out for all of those lovely things and more. Okay, got a couple of surprises, hopefully one that I will get to release this week. So excited. All right, take care. Great seeing you, and I will talk with you later. Bye-bye.